Hello and welcome back everyone to the next episode on SAP Datasphere training. In our last episode, we talked about the concept of data flows and also working with task chain. We have seen how can you do ETL like processing, which you used to do in the past with BW system, directly with the Datasphere with the help of data flows and task chains. In our today's session, we will proceed further and look about the another very interesting topic asked by you called SQL views. Some of you also approached me that Anubhav, I would like to take a training. Will you also cover, apart from Python, the SQL scripting language? Answer for all of that is yes. You can actually use, apart from Python, SQL scripting language also when it comes to SAP Datasphere. So let's go ahead and first talk about the data model we are planning to use for our next use case. And the data model which I'm planning to use is called EPM data model. EPM stands for Enterprise Procurement Data Model. It is a real-time data model coming from your classic ERP system like S4HANA. According to EPM data model, there is a model company. The name of this model company is ITEIO. ITEIO is a demo company, just like Accenture, Deloitte, Genpact. This is also a company, but it's a demo company for learning purpose. They are in the business of selling electronic goods online, like Amazon. So they sell in the business of electronic goods online. So Amazon doesn't make any laptop by themselves. There is a something called suppliers who comes and register with Amazon to supply the laptop to sell their products. Amazon provides the platform, and then there are buyers or nothing but customers who come and basically buy these products from Amazon. So customer go to ITEIO and then they will create something called a sales order. What is a sales order? A sales order is nothing but it's a request for buying something. When you go to grocery store, your wife gives you a list of items to be purchased. And when you purchase all of that, or when you go and give it to grocery store, it's a sales order for him. Yes. So sales order contains the information about what you want to buy. Who's the sold to party? Who's the ship to party? What is the sales organization, distribution channel, division, everything. And then we have sales order items where we have the information about the items what we want to purchase. So let's say I want to purchase two laptops, one pen drive, and five hard disks. So that is my order items. This is how typically a sales order would look like. Now, when an order is received by ITIO, they will just cross check their stock if they have the items in their stock or not. If they have, they will do post goods issue. And once the post goods issue is done, eventually the customer will receive all the items with the delivery. A delivery note is created, and then customer will receive all the item. With the items, they will get an invoice. Customer will always pay based on the invoice. Usually you see when you receive an online order from Amazon, you guys get an invoice, and on that on the basis of that invoice you will make the payment to Amazon, right? This is what we typically do. So that is our process for buying and selling. It's a traditional process but in more ERP way, and this model is called EPM data model. The EPM data model contains multiple database tables for processing the complete life cycle of a sales in a company like ITEIO. So what we will do is we will now create this demo data model in our DataSphere system by creating the tables, so that on top of these tables we should be able to utilize the information, utilize the knowledge, and write some SQL scripting and things like that. So coming to the business objects, you can see customers and suppliers. That is the my master data. So what is my master data in EPM model? Customers and suppliers. These are known as business partners. So with whom you are dealing in your business, like buying and selling, they are known as business partners in a business. That is what they are known as. Okay. So that is what the first thing is. What when it comes to this EPM data model, the master data. Then apart from that, you have products and product text. So product is basically what you're selling actually on your platform, and then product text is basically the text of the product in different languages. That is what product text is all about. Yeah. So that is the product text. So now that is our main master data we will be using. Then apart from that, we have the transaction data. What is the transaction data we have? So we have the transaction data also, which is telling us what is the actual business. So we have sales orders and sales order items. We have purchase order items. We have invoice items. So what is purchase order? Purchase order is nothing but when ITEIO is running out of stock to deliver some product to you, they will create a purchase order, and supplier will then supply this product to ITEIO. That is the purchase order, what we typically have. So this is the transaction and master data. I will be now creating this data in our DataSphere system for building SQL views. So I can explain scenarios and build views for you. As usual, we will be providing this test data as part of a study material. You guys can go ahead and accordingly get it. So I'm going to switch over back, come back here to data builder, and I will start importing the data and the tables. So I'll go to our training material, data kits, and you see EPM data model. So right now I just keep it simple. We have business partner, addresses of business partner, sales order and sales order items. Just 4 tables I am using at the moment. So let's go ahead and do that. So I will go ahead and import from a CSV file. I copy the path and import my first table, business partner. Upload. Done. I don't have to change anything. Just review everything. Click on deploy. Name it as business partners. That's okay. Then I have next import CSV file, import address data, upload, deploy addresses, or next I have import, select, get the sales orders. That's our transaction data. It will show the data preview, deploy, done. Next I will have sales order items. sales order items. So these are my main master data and transaction data table. Very simple to understand as per the business model of ITEIO. You can go to the business partner table and change it to a dimension. For a dimension, here you see the partner ID must be represented by a company name. So make company name as a text and associate that with the partner. All is good. We can just redeploy. Okay, key attribute is not marked. Let's mark partner ID as a key and redeploy. I marked it as a key still. Sorry. Yes. Let's redeploy. Okay. So next we go check the data if the data is available or not. Yes, you see we have the partner IDs available with partner role. One is a customer, two is a supplier with their email IDs, phone number, and the details of a business partner. Good. Let's go back, change the address table, mark address ID as a key, and we can just deploy. Sorry, I forgot to mark it as a dimension also. Okay, let's go back. We switch over to sales order and we choose relational data model. Mark sales order ID as a key and deploy. Last but not the least, the sales order item table. So this is basic data preparation you have to do every time before you start any scenario. So here order ID and order item ID together they make the composite primary key. Okay, we are good. Our EPM data model is created. What is our next step? Now we want to create SQL view. So how SQL views are different from the traditional view and why do we use SQL views? So let's talk about it. So in case the consultants not like coding, they can opt for graphical view. Graphical views, which we learned, are used for simple use cases with no coding requirement and no SQL knowledge is required. We use joins and unions, etc. to work with SQL views. Sorry, graphical SQL views. But we cannot write complex coding, complex functions. So if our requirement is to develop a more complex view where we take full control of the view lifecycle logic with SQL code, we can opt for SQL view. We can opt for the SQL view. So with the SQL view option, with this option, we can create a view to query source in a powerful SQL editor provided by SAP. We can choose between writing a SQL standard query using select statement and operators such as join and union, or use SQL script to produce table function. I'll explain what is table function. We can drag and drop from source browser later on this view in data flows or other views slash models. So this is a fully reusable artifact what you're creating like graphical views. But the difference is you need to have SQL knowledge. Now, as I understand, you all are software engineers. I don't need to teach basics of SQL here. However, we will cover SQL scripting for you. So let's first create a very simple SQL view with our first requirement to just get the total order size for each customer. And along with that, I want to know based on the order, what is the rank? So what is rank? So my requirement is to calculate rank of each order size for each customer. So currently my data is in the system is basically in the tabular format for the sales. Suppose customer A have given me sales of 100 on one of the day, then A has given me sales of 200, customer B 300, customer B 500, customer A 600, customer C 900, customer C 200. Now what I want to aggregate this data first. So aggregate means A total sales 100, 200 and 600, 900, B 500 and 300, 800 and C 1100. Now after this I want to calculate a rank. I want to rank my orders by customer order size. So total size of order here is 1100. So this is biggest. So it should come like C 1100 rank as 1. Then it should come as A 900 rank as 2. If it is then B 800 rank as 3. Now what happens? Let's say two customer by chance two of the customer have same sales. So let's say B also have one more 100. Now in this case, this will become 900. So here it will become 900. So how the rank will work is rank will show 1, 2, 2. But you can go with the dense rank. The dense rank will not rank with repeated values. It will say 1, 2 and 3. So this is the difference between rank and dense rank function. When the values are same, the system will give a numeric number to that, and that numeric number will not repeat. Will repeat. But in a dense rank, the number will not repeat. Okay, that is the difference. So we will be using this feature of HANA because you all know that SAP is using behind the scene a HANA database for building SQL views. Yeah, that is what SAP is using. Yeah, that is what SAP is using. So we will be utilizing this rank and dense rank function coming from HANA database. Coming from HANA database. So let us go ahead and see this in action. So I'm going to switch over back And here we will create data builder, and I will use new SQL view. So by far you use graphical view. So today we will use SQL view. And you can see here the tables, you can drag drop them quite easily, and you can start writing the query. So this will be pure SQL query. If your company already have some HANA system and these tables are present in that HANA system, you guys can go ahead and use that also. Okay. And then you can later on copy the query and paste it here. So let's call it as view rank. That's the name I want to give. And I say select. I want to select the partner from partner ID table. So I will be using right now star from my EPM table. What is my EPM table? The partner ID. And I would like to join that data with the, or maybe right now I just get it from sales order. So you can do control space and you can see the table names. Control space and you can see table name. Now I can start referring the columns. So I will go back and I say I want first the partner ID. Yes, you see partner ID. That's my first column. And then I need a sum of gross amount. Sometimes the control space doesn't work or it's slow. I do control space and you see it's not working sometime. It's okay. Yes, here it is. Gross amount as sales. Then I will also be counting the number of sales order given by each partner. So we will use another aggregate function count. How many sales order were provided by each partner? So we'll be counting sales order IDs, unique sales order IDs. Yes. So we count the number of sales order IDs as number of orders. Now, watch out. I will perform a rank function. So this is a function provided by SAP HANA. So I can say rank over. I want to rank. You see rank, dense rank and percentage rank. Three functions are there. Rank over, order by, sum of gross amount based on a total of gross amount in descending order as rank order amount. Then I will also show you dense rank. This is another function. If you are interested to read documentation on these functions, you can also check rank and dense rank HANA. You will be taken to the documentation by SAP where you can go and check about all the available functions in HANA. So here is the documentation link for all the available functions you can use. There are thousands of them, you see, SQL functions in HANA. HANA SQL reference guide. You can see here all the functions. You can use any one of them. Very powerful calculations you can perform utilizing these functions deep into the HANA database. I'll put the link in the training material PPT so you guys can refer accordingly. Okay. Now coming back. So dense rank over again I want order by sum of gross amount descending order as let's say dense rank. Sorry, just say rank order, dense rank order. And now since you're using aggregate function, you have to use group by clause, group by partner ID. Makes sense. So this is how we can exactly build our logic. End the statement always with semicolon. And you can now validate. You can say format from was expected but was not found. So what is the issue? Select the first column, second column, count. The from is here. Why it is not accepting? Something is wrong. Select partner ID, sum of gross amount as sales amount, count the number of orders. Okay. Rank over. Then we have order by sum of gross amount as rank over. That is the column I have produced by calculating a rank. Order by in descending, then dense rank over this from my table, group by partner ID. It's correct only. Why it is giving this error? Okay. You see now it has formatted and it has got errors. Rank is not being found. Okay, I understood. So this rank that has to go inside over here. Yes, I guess that's the catch. So let me also cross check the documentation which I shared with you. So here is a documentation of the rank function. So you see row number rank. Okay, rank has a parenthesis, guys. You see it has a parenthesis. We missed that. So let's go back and add a parenthesis like this. It's a function. So you can see SQL is valid now. System has also produced the rank. You can see. So for this particular business partner, that is a total sales he has given to me. Total number of orders are 14. Yes. And he's number one rank because you see highest sales amount. Then you see 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 like this. But whenever we have same values, what system will do? System will basically give, in case of a rank function, it will give the same number. But I don't think so right now there are any of the customer who have same sales. If there would have been a same sales, let's say here, this would have been 291863 like the previous one. This would have been 3434 like that. But dense rank will be 3435 like that. Okay. So that's a difference. So now we've got our first SQL. I will take this SQL. I'll put it in the PPT so that when you guys are practicing, you guys can use my SQL as it is. Please make sure the tables are correctly used. Okay. So now it's time that we can utilize this information in Analytics Cloud. So we can just create an analytic model on top of it. But first, let's deploy the view. So my recommendation would be to perform all these calculation directly in the data sphere like this. Do not try to calculate rank or order count in Analytics Cloud because for that Analytics Cloud have to fetch all the data and do lot of processing. We don't want the lot of processing to be done there, right? Okay. So done. We are good. and it's all completed, deployed also. Let's create an analytic model on top of it, which we can use in Analytics Cloud. So I'll call it as analytic model order rank. You can see already system marked these two things as a as a measure, but I want dense rank to be also part of measure. So we can just go ahead and it's why it is counting it as a dimension. Ideally, that should have been also a measure. It's not considering that as a measure. Okay, anyway, let's go inside and deploy. So we've now created an analytic model on top of SQL view, just the way we created earlier the analytic model on top of our graphical SQL views. So coming back again, someone sent me an email. Anubhav, I am not able to connect and get data from DataSphere in Analytics Cloud. So what are the common mistakes people are doing? Why are they not able to connect their Analytics Cloud account with the DataSphere? So first common mistake, let me note down. This is a very important question which I've received over the email. What people are doing, run the SAC and DataSphere in a same browser and same browser, multiple tab, like I'm doing. You see, both are here. Yes, both are here. So please run your Analytics Cloud and your DataSphere in the same browser, please. If you not do that, you will have issues in connection. Why is it like this? Because it's a trial account. This issue will not come in productive account, though you can run them in a separate session, but only in case of trial account, you will have this problem. So please pay attention. This is a very important thing you need to focus on. If you not focus on that, it will have issues. You will have some connectivity issue for sure. That is one thing you need to keep it in mind. The second thing is make sure that you registered your DataSphere and Analytic Cloud account from guided experience link. Some people they go and register their DataSphere account on a different data center and your Analytics Cloud account on a different data center. I'll show you where is the link. So you have to say experience SAP DataSphere tutorial. This I've also showed you previously, but some people did not follow and they got a issue. So we should have something called tutorial. Yes, this one. So here you see the link for starting the DataSphere account. So one second, tutorial navigator, DataSphere, and getting started with your trial on DataSphere. No, let me go to another browser tab. Guided experience, get started. Yes, this is the correct tutorial. You see here. So when you register them together. This also and this also. You have to register them together. If you register one part separately and another part separately, these systems have no connectivity. They cannot connect with each other. So while creating trial account, please make sure that you register from same place, not from different places. Remember again, these things are only relevant for trial. If you are using productive account, anything can connect to anywhere. Okay. Once you register, you will get an IDs. How the IDs would look like? Let me show you the IDs. How they look like. Just I'm copying the IDs. So in my case, what is happening is my datasphere ID was this, and you see the ID number. They are in sequence 73, 74. Yeah. So this is my IDs which I've got it registered. Okay. Now, what is the next step? You need to add connection. So go to SAP Analytics Cloud, and in SAP Analytics Cloud, go to connections. And now, okay, I think we don't need to add a connection because connection is already there. One second, let me check. Canvas, optimize design experience, add a chart, and you see the connections. Already it is there, many of the connections. But in this, if you see the connection for 74, 874 is there or not? Sorry, 873 is my datasphere ID. Is it there or not? You see it is not there. Okay. This connection is not there. What you got to do? You go to Analytics Cloud, add the connection. Usually, when you add the connection with the same name. So connect with the datasphere live data, put the name as same, description as same, and put the host name. This is the host name. Port is always 443 and click OK. Now you see, since both are running in same tab, there is a cookie in the browser. That cookie will authenticate you with this SSO login. So if you are running them in a separate tabs, what will happen? There is no cookie, so it can't connect. Click OK. You see it is authenticating and it's done. Yeah. These are the three simple steps you need to follow. So I come back stories, canvas page. Always use optimized design experience, not the classic experience in Analytics Cloud. Okay, let's choose that. And now we'll add a chart. And you should see your connection with the same name as user ID on the left side. What's my user ID? It is 73. So let's come down. Here it is. You see 73. These are the things which you need to follow. I hope somebody send me email. Please speak up. Who sent me this email? Who was facing connectivity problem? And I asked you to discuss in the class. Anyone? Who was the one who sent me this email? Okay, anyway, now at least you will watch the video, you will know it. Okay, let's go inside and we should see our analytic model order rank. Very good. So I want to first print a rank table, or I want to first print here the total number of orders by each party, each partner ID. So these are the number of orders. I will also just rank top 5 in descending order. Yes. Okay. Next, I will add a table to show the ranks. And you can see we have got the, let me add a partner ID as a row. So for each partner ID, we will see the rank and dense rank. And I will just sort here also. So all these calculations are happening in the data sphere. We are not doing these calculations on the analytics cloud. This will give you the desired performance you need. I see many people do these kind of calculations in the analytics cloud. It is disastrous for performance because analytics cloud has to fetch all the data from data sphere and then process the data to get these ranks calculated. But if you're doing it in the sources data sphere, if you do it in the source itself is capable enough to give this data. So there is no extra processing done on the analytical tool. Now, today you're using analytic cloud. Tomorrow, maybe this tool is changed to become something else. Tomorrow you change to Power BI or let's say Salesforce Tableau. So if you have added the logic in the data sphere, this logic is reusable. And whenever you use these views in in Tableau or in Power BI or Excel, you will always be able to get this data. You don't have to perform this calculation again and again and again in the tools. This is the main advantage you get when it comes to working with working with data sphere calculation using SQL. Any questions here so far on SQL view before we move to SQL script? So Anubhav, what's the difference between optimized versus classic design experience? In optimized design experience, we will be able to consume data sphere connection out of the box, but in classic design experience, we cannot. Yes. Optimized design experience, we have features to add extra widgets like buttons, filter controls, input fields, these containers. But in classic design experience, we don't have these features. For more detail, join our analytics cloud training where we covered these two in detail in our analytics cloud training. So Anubhav, BP is the vendor, right? Yes. BP is vendor and customer both. Whenever BP role is 1, it is a customer. Whenever BP role is 2, it's a vendor. Okay. That's a difference. Okay. So now we've got the orders. We've got this order table. Let's move on to next way of implementing SQL view. So by far you saw when we build a SQL view, we use pure SQL. But there's another choice called SQL script. Now what is SQL script and how it is different? And also if I don't want to use Python, rather I want to use SQL script in my company, can I use that for the purpose of integration? Okay. So before we move on, let's take a quick break and then we will resume back after the break to understand what is SQL scripting and how to use SQL scripting here to be able to integrate complete SQL script code. I'll be back after a short break. Let me take a break and then we will resume back after the. Okay, everyone, welcome back after the break. So let's begin quickly with introduction to SQL scripting. What is SQL scripting and why do we need SQL scripting in typical transactions? So SQL scripting is used for creating, it provides, is an extension of SQL and provides programming capabilities with SQL. So traditional SQL, what you can do, you can only write select queries, read the data, perform joins, unions. But with SQL scripting, you can actually perform the capabilities related to programming, like if condition, loops, etc. All these different stuff you can do with the SQL script. It's extension of traditional SQL, which brings the programming capability. With traditional SQL, with just SQL, we can retrieve the data, but data manipulation and chaining is not possible. So if you want to do a loop on the retrieved data, perform some calculations, add imperative logic, do the conditioning, processing, all of that if you want to do, you cannot do with traditional plain SQL. You have to use SQL script. Now, SQL script is according to database. So if you, since Datasphere uses HANA database. We need to code SQL script as per HANA standard. So where can you find the documentation of the same? So documentation is still the same place, guys, which I was telling you here. And you can find SQL scripting guide under HANA. So you can say SQL or HANA database, sorry, HANA platform I have to say. So when I go to documentation of SAP HANA platform, why it is not showing? Let's search for HANA. So under the, or let me say help.sap.com slash HANA platform. Yes, here it is. Correct. So under this, if you go to uses section, you can find complete guide for SQL scripting. You see here, SAP HANA SQL reference guide. I'll give you this link, which is actually the main link for everything related to HANA. Under that, you will find SQL script. Yes, this is the standard you need to follow. Now, I'll cover a brief, not so much in detail about SQL script, but if you are interested, you can go and read more about SQL scripting here on this documentation provided by SAP. So it has all the capabilities like creating variable, writing if condition, creating loops, writing business logic, everything. Now, there are two ways we can write SQL script usually. So what are the two ways, two techniques? One is called data flow graph, and second is called, it is also known as declarative logic, and second is called imperative logic, also known as orchestration logic. What's the main difference? In data flow graph or declarative logic, we will write back to back SQL statements. Yes, we will write back to back SQL statements. It will have high chance of getting executed in parallel by HANA. Best for performance. Used for simple use case. We can chain SQL statements, which means output of one query can be given as an input to another query. That is your data flow logic. I'll give you an example, don't worry. Sorry. In imperative logic, what we have is we can write both declarative and code, basically logic. It supports no parallelization. So code will never be parallelized. It will always be executed in serial mode. Means there is no parallelization. HANA will never execute this code in parallel processing, which means performance will be little down as compared to declarative logic. But it allows complex logic building. We can use complex cases with if and loops, and we can also create variables like in programming and work with them. All of this we can do when it comes to imperative logic. So let me first explain quickly the data flow graph. To understand that, let me explain an example of a data flow graph. So let's imagine there is a query one, which is LT products equals to select star or select product ID from products table where product type is equals to laptop. Then I have a query 2 where I will say LT sales, select order ID from orders table where product ID is equals to select product ID from LT prod. So you can clearly make out my where condition. It is very obvious that I am using the output of query 1. Here is the input for the second query. I have my third query Q3 where I will get all the purchases for the same product which is of type laptop. Order ID from purchase table where product ID is from this. Now my last query is calculate the total of sales. So query 4, select sum of sales from LT sales. This is my fourth query. Now imagine how HANA executes these queries. HANA will basically create a query plan. We call it as data flow graph. So first of all, query 1 will be executed. Let's say query 1 got executed. Now, my question to all of you, please answer in chat window. Is it mandatory to run query 1 before we run query 2? Yes or no? Is it mandatory to run query 1 before we run query 2? Yes or no? Answer is yes, because you see output of query 1 is given as an input for query 2. So it is mandatory to run query 1 before running query 2. Make sense? So output of query 1 is given to our input of query 2. Now next, is it mandatory to run query 1? Listen carefully. Mandatory to run query 1 before running query 3. Yes, it is also. You can clearly make out the output of query 1 is given as an input here. But is it mandatory to run query 2 to run query 3? Is it mandatory to run query 2 to run query 3? No, they both are independent. 2 and 3 are independent, which means HANA can really run them in parallel. Yes. HANA will go and put one part of CPU on this branch, another part on this branch. Parallel processing. Then query 4, it depends on query 2. Similarly, you can notice, and that is how the query plan will be made. This is called data flow graph. This is called data flow graph. So HANA will always make a data flow graph and see if the code can be executed in parallel. That is what HANA database will do. Now, in what cases the HANA will not do parallel processing? So there are rules which if you break, you will come out of parallel processing. Yes. So this is all HANA will do behind the scene. This is all internally happening inside HANA. Okay. So if we use declare statement to create variable, HANA will come out of parallel mode. If we use any query not assigned to a implicit variable, HANA will also come out of parallel mode. You see, this is a implicit variable which is created at runtime automatically by system. Okay, automatically by system. Yes, these are the variables automatically created by system. So that is the, like in this case, we didn't assign this query to a automatic variable. The fourth query, HANA will come out of parallel mode. In these cases, we have assigned it to a variable, but in these cases, it is not. So it will come out of parallel mode. Next, if we use any DML or DDL statement. So all are DQL right now, data query language. DML like insert, update, modify. Yes. DDL like truncate, drop. Yes. If we do any one of these statements, then also HANA will come out of parallel mode. HANA will come out of parallel mode. So likewise, you can clearly make out that some of the things which will not help your code to run in parallel mode. It will come out of parallel mode. That is what you will actually see. So now what will happen is, what is that we can do? Where in order to make sure that we remain in the parallel mode, the thing is, if you can, try to use always the data flow graph. Don't use the orchestration logic. But sometimes the requirements are very complex. There is no choice we have to use the imperative logic also. So in this case it's fine, but remember, performance is always greater than doing anything else. If you create a graphical view, as compared to that, the SQL view performance is always better. Now coming to SQL scripting, there are some rules to follow. So remember, I taught you Python syntax, rules on the Python. Similarly, when you work with SQL script, you also have to follow the rules of SQL script. So what are the rules of SQL script? Is SQL better than Python? Yes, because Python is more for data engineering, data science purpose. After the data is fetched from database, on top of it, we are applying Python. But when you say SQL scripting, it is not applied after fetching. It is itself fetching the data for you, and these calculations are done deep into the database. So database will produce fine grained results out of the box. Okay. Okay, what are the rules to follow as far as Python is sorry, the SQL script is concerned? So the first rule is every statement must end with a semicolon. So every statement end with semicolon. That's the first rule of the game. Second, it is not case sensitive. If you create a variable and do not assign any value to it, null gets assigned, and any operation with null becomes null. Okay. Any operation with a null will become a null. Now we use declare statement to create variables. If you create a variable, we use colon equals to as assignment operator to assign the value, and equals to as comparison operator to compare two values. These are the comparison operator. When we use a when we want to use a variable value, we use value of operator. Value of. So how it is read? Let's say you declare x as an integer. Now you want to use x somewhere. So you say value of x. So value of x. This is how you use a variable somewhere else. Okay. Value of x. This is how you use it somewhere else. So now these are the some basic rules which we need to follow when it comes to writing SQL script. Okay. Now we can use queries. Always try to use queries on top before imperative logic start, so that you can stay in parallel mode maximum time. Imperative logic means if, else, loop. Before all of that start, you have to remain in parallel mode. So all the queries you should use always on the top of your statements. Now there are three types of variables in SQL script. The first is called linear variable or scalar variable. Scalar variable hold single value. Syntax is declare variable name and variable type. The second variable is called, after scalar variable we have array. In case of an array variable, what is an array variable does? An array variable hold multiple values of same data types. Multiple values of same data types it hold. That is the array variable. Something like this. That's an array. Okay. How do you declare an array? To declare an array, we say declare array name, type array keyword. Now you can hold multiple value. You can access the element of an array by its index, index 1, 2, 3. Then we have table. We have table variable hold many columns and many rows, like internal table in above. Okay, has rows and column. Perfect for data manipulation. Created using declare statement, which is called explicit declaration or implicit declaration, where the moment you assign a value to it, it will store the data in the table format. That is your table variable. Scalar, array, and table. Three types of variables we have. Now, let's talk about what is table function or what is containers. So there are three types of container called anonymous block, procedure or stored procedure, and function. So when it comes to data sphere does not support anonymous block and procedure. Just to tell you quickly, anonymous block is a block of code which is used only for one time purpose. It's a disposable code. You write it, you run it, and you forget it. You dump it. Yes. So then we have the procedure. Procedure are stored in the database. They can have multiple input and output parameters and then can be executed and reused again. But both of these are not supported by datasphere. Datasphere only support functions. In the functions also, it only supports table functions. So functions are of two types, scalar and table. Scalar return only one data, one value like x10, but table returns a table of values. So we have table functions only supported in SAP Datasphere. So now if you go back and check what we were creating there, you can see it is returning a select on the table. You see table. So it's a table function. You can also see table function. So it only supports table function. It doesn't support procedure and anonymous block. So what is my use case now? What I'm trying to do? So I would want to use EPM data model, of course, again, and I want to calculate the total gross sales per country. I would like to join this data with address data to find the country wise sales. And then I wanted to utilize this information to basically connect with the sales orders based on my partners. So I will input the country as an input parameter And based on the country, I will fetch all the business partners. And after fetching all the business partners, eventually I will be getting orders for these business partners and totaling the orders for these business partners. So what is my use case? Input will be country code. Based on the input, we fetch all business partners for that country. Yes. Then we want to loop at each business partner one by one. And inside the loop, what I want to do for this particular business partner, I want to get all the orders. And then keep adding these orders to a final table which shows total sales per business partner. That is my requirement. Like traditionally in ABAP, you have one internal table. You loop at that internal table and fetch data from another database table. And then join all the data, union all the data. That's a similar use case I want. So let us go ahead and implement this via SQL scripting. I will switch over back. And first of all, I'll create an input parameter. So come down, you can see there are many options to choose from. When it comes to SQL script, I will first create an input parameter country. So click on edit. Why it is stuck? I'll refresh quickly. Sometime the data sphere gets stuck. You can quickly refresh. Do not forget to save your work. I'll come back input parameter. Yes, it's working. And let's give the parameter name I underscore country. It's a string of, let's say, 15 characters. Click OK. So I've created an input parameter called country. Now, I will just go ahead and create a couple of variables. Declare LV record count integer. Declare, it's not case sensitive. You can write in small letter or capital letter, up to you. VPID and varchar 40. Declare LV country and varchar 40. Declare company and varchar. These are data types. And varchar char. You can check the documentation link I shared with you. Varchar is variable character and varchar is number and variable character. It's a combination of character and number. Then I say declare LT collect. This is my final table where I will store all the data. So you see, this is an implicit declaration. Sorry, explicit table variable which I am declaring myself to return my data. So table is part of syntax. I'll write in capital letter. Basically, it will be easy for you. What is a keyword and what is not? So declare a table with following columns: partner ID, varchar 30. This is my first column of the table. Likewise, I can add multiple columns in my table. Then I have company name, varchar of 80. So this is my final output, what I want to return actually, that I'm creating. Then I have gross amount, gross underscore amount, decimal 10,2. I have the currency code Varchar of 4. I have country. This is our internal table I've created, a table which will store all the data that I've created here. Okay, makes sense. So these are some variables, declaring variables. I'll write comments also, and declaring a table variable which will create the which will store the table data. Now you can always have to go and define here output columns. So output will always be a table, and the columns of the table you have to specify here. So click on edit, and you have to add the columns here for the return table. Why it is not opening? Yes. Why it's not showing here the columns? Something is wrong. Anyway, let's first save this view till here. View, order, SQL script. Expose for consumption also, and I will just save it for now because I don't want to lose anything. If my connection goes away, I don't want to lose anything. Just save. Okay, so far so good. Let's also cross check, are there any issues? So you can see expecting parenthesis, select mismatch identifier, expect. Okay, so basically the SQL script, whenever you use, it must, okay, table function, it must have a return. You see, this must have a return. So that is what we are missing. That is why it is giving an error, which is okay. We can give that. So now you have to choose SQL script table function, and you have to specify columns. So you have to add one by one columns here. What will be your output? What is that you want to give as a output? So that we have to specify. So my output will be partner ID. Then the company name. The third column will be gross amount. Then will be currency code. And the last will be country. Yes, name must match. Yes, it must match. So let's choose it as string 30. Then I will just choose here as next is 80, gross amount decimal 10 to. Then we will choose next is character 4, and last one is character 20. So this must match with the output. So you can see already I've created an output table with these columns. Yes, I've created that. So we will be returning, basically return statement is required. Select star from LT collect. And now I can validate. So currently I'm returning absolutely blank data. Yes. Generally the return statement should hold an identifier defined by table function. Return statement should be identified for table function. Should be defined for table function. We've already defined return type for table function already. Why it is giving this error? Anyway, let's proceed. I think it should be fine. We have to just save it. So the model contain unconsumed input parameter. Okay. Return statement must be defined for table function. Okay. So here whatever we are doing LT collect, it must match return. Yes, I missed that. Okay. So now you can see just one error will be there. So you see everything is valid. Only that the input parameter we didn't use. So we created the couple of variables. We created a output structure, what we want to return out. We define the same output structure as part of the signature of the output, and we then define a return statement. And all the processing will now be done here. So what is our requirement? Fetch all the business partner for that country which user will input. So user will input a country ICTRY. We need to fetch all the business partner for that. So I will say LT business partner. I am declaring an implicit table. This is an implicit table equals to select partner ID. So I would want to join my data for business partner and addresses together and get only the partner and company name and country for the one which was passed in the input parameter. So I will say BPA dot partner ID, then BPA from company name and AD address table country from business partner table. So you can already see your tables here. Drag and drop business partner table, inner join as BPA, inner join with address table as ADDR, join condition BPA dot control space address ID matches with the address table control space address ID, where address table country is equals to I country. What is I country? It's a input variable. You can see this input variable which we created ICTRY. So it's a value of input country. Remember value of operator I explained you. Whenever you want to use value of a variable, you use value of operator. So that is my step number one. Then I will loop over the data. I'll start a for loop, LV loop counter, which we created as a variable already. In ones to maximum number of records. So we will use record count. Record count is a built-in function in SAP HANA SQL script to basically count the number of records in a table. Perform a loop please and for. So I'm looping now each record one by one. I will be looping each record one by one. Now, so let's start the loop and we will first get the business partner ID in a variable BPID variable and I'll say LTBP. I want the partner ID with the loop counter. This is how you read the record by record. So I will also read country and company name. So country, company, country. Inside the loop, I have read the properties. Now I'll get all the sales orders. Select LVBP ID, business partner ID as partner ID, LV company as company name, LV country as country, and now I'll get the total sales order amount. So I'll get the gross amount for the sales order and I also get the currency as currency code and country from sales order table. So this is our sales order table. We get that where partner ID is equals to LVBP ID. So what are you doing? You're looping over each business partner one by one. And then you're going inside the system. You are getting all the sales orders for that particular business partner. Yes, all the sales order with the partner ID, partner name, amount, currency. Yes, we are getting all of that. Once we get all of the sales orders, we are just going to append and keep collecting them, keep unioning them. So I will just come back and say LT collect. This is my final output equals to select star from the sales order union all select star from correct done. So this is how our entire logic is being built, complete with the SQL scripting. So you learned about implicit variable, explicit variable, union, yes, loops. You can put if conditions also. Yes, you can say if the particular country is this, or if this business partner ID is this, of company is this, or amount is greater than this, then only total. Yes, all the if conditions, loops, everything you can put inside. Let's format, check the syntax, SQL is valid, and let's deploy. So I will be giving you this entire SQL script code as part of PPT, and you can just copy paste this code after creating EPM tables in the system. So I just copy that. This is the final code. Sorry about formatting. You have to format yourself. And I guess it is deployed now. Yes, done. Let's look at the data. So you can preview the data directly over here. You see it is asking me country code. I want to give US. And for US, it will return me all the sales orders for all the business partners which belongs to US. You see all the partners which are in US and their sales orders have been fetched. You see, wow, cool now. Now somebody asked me, Anubhav, can I use SQL script in data flows? Yes, you can. So you can now create a data flow on top of this view because this view is a SQL script. Yeah. So you can go back and create a data flow very easily on this view. So you can go to data builder, flows, new data flow, and now you can use that view. Here it is, SQL script. I hope this answer your question. So with parameters you cannot, since our view have a parameter. I'm so sorry. With parameter you should have the SQL script view created without parameter. But with parameter views cannot be used. Yeah. But the moral of the story here is answer is yes. You cannot directly code here you cannot directly code here the SQL script like Python. We were able to code Python earlier directly, but here the SQL script can be used directly as a view, SQL view. Yes, so that's an indirect way, not a direct SQL script integration, but indirect way. Yeah. So SQL script is always better than Python because it gives better performance results. Okay. So that is how we can create our SQL script logic in SAP DataSphere. It can go very, very complex also. I have implemented thousands of lines of code also in my company with a complete business logic written in SQL script and then utilize that in Analytics Cloud to process the data. Can we manipulate the data using SQL script? Yes, we are manipulating. You see already. We are getting sales order. Then we are manipulating this LT collect. We are unioning all. Yes, and we are manipulating. Now, if you talk about database manipulation, that you cannot. You can't fire an insert statement here. That you cannot do. Okay, that is DML. DML you cannot do. But as long as data is in your local table, LT, local table, you can manipulate. You can manipulate. Okay. Suppose I want to manipulate my gross amount with a 10% discount. So 0.90 as gross amount. So that's it, data manipulation we am doing. Yeah. That is a data manipulation I'm doing. So you can actually perform data manipulations, but you cannot insert data to database. That you cannot do. Okay. Any other questions before we close today's class?
Anubhav,
Yes, please.
so while building a data flow, let's say like we want to look up from some table, some other table. So we can only use Python over there, or we can use data script, I mean SQL script over there.
So I already explained. If you want to use SQL script, you can't add a node there. Like you can add a node for Python. Okay. You cannot add a node. So while you use data flows, you can use SQL script. So let's say this is your data flow. Now, if you want to use SQL script, if you want, you have to use a SQL script view. And this inside have SQL script. For Python, you cannot. Python, you need to add a separate node. This is Python node. You can clearly notice first the data is processed always via SQL script. On top of it, Python comes. Yes, on top of it, Python comes in a data flow. So this is the way. This is the way forward if you want to use SQL script. Now, which is better? SQL script is better because it is done calculation in the database. In database will only give you the final results. It will reduce your network load. But if you use Python, the data is processed after data is fetched from database. After. So this is not as good as SQL script for performance. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir. So I think whatever I think I've already pinged in the chat window also. Whatever we can achieve with Python, we can achieve the same in SQL script also, right?
Yes, we can. You see, already
But
we did loops and
performance
all.
wise, yeah,
But
yeah.
Python is sometimes
Performance wise, SQL.
because they have
Yeah,
data
sorry.
frame and the framework like pandas. Yeah.
Anubhav, can we use SQL script in between graphical SQL views?
Yes, we can. So you can create SQL script views and add them as a source in the graphical views. So when you build a
Not as a
graphical view,
source. Like
when you
if,
build a graphical view, let me show you. When you build a graphical view, so I create a new graphical view. In this graphical view, now I'll go and add my SQL script view as a source. You see, I've added that.
no, not like this. When we have a graphical view, in between we have, if we need any logic to do a complex scripting, can we do that for
No,
lookups
no,
and
no. There we
declare? And
cannot. No, no, no. That we cannot.
so the
So it's
source
always
can
as
be
a
a
source, right?
Yes.
source. Okay, thanks.
So multiple options and choices are there. You have to use what fits best for your use cases, guys. That you have to see. All right. Thank you so much once again for joining today's class. Sorry, my health is not okay today. If my health is not okay, perhaps I may cancel tomorrow's class also. I just need to, relax a bit because I'm suffering with a lot of issues. So hopefully we will have a class, but let's see. Thank you once again. Catch you up in the next episode. Goodbye.